Bloggo's POW!
Let's see how Sega's superscalar games works on an Amiga. So first up, we've got Afterburner. So let's get cracking with this. Okay, so initially we're taking off from a Sega Enterprise aircraft carrier, and you can see it's in this weird window. The music's... oh, we've got some speech there. I think there was that much speech that early in the arcade game. In the arcade game, you only got speech from something, one of the shooty planes came from behind you, or the missiles came from behind. Roll. Oh, there we go. Woo! Interesting thing about this HUD here, it tries to replicate the arcade game. The flashing lights at the top indicate there's a plane coming from behind. The cabinet had red lights on it which indicated that something was coming from behind, and in the centre at the bottom, when that lights up, the lock on, that's when the you do have a lock on. Again, the cabinet had a similar sort of graphic, I suppose, a plastic transparent overlay with a light behind it which lit up when you were locked on. But aside from that, I don't know why it's not full screen. It's just a bit of unnecessary clutter, if you ask me. This is very pedestrian, it's very slow. Bizarrely enough, programmed by Argonaut, the team that behind Starglider 1 and 2. It's what they were most famous for when this came out. A bit strange having a team that was so good with vector graphics convert a game that was didn't have any vector graphics in it at all. Of course, Argonaut went on to design the Super FX chip for Nintendo, and Star Fox, whatever it was called, was released off the back of that. Yeah, this is a bit poor. I suppose the stage layout's fairly accurate. It's overall not particularly good. So if you wanted to play Afterburner on the Amiga, it appears that you were shit out. This is very poor. Right, so oddly, there's two versions of Afterburner on the Amiga. One we've just looked at by Activision, and there's this one by Sega in the US. So let's see what occurs here. I do remember getting a copy of this back in the day, which I found instantly surprising. So somebody did me a copy of it. I said, I've got Afterburner already. Oh, why? And it turned out it was this version, which, as I say, was surprising. And in those days, the Mega Drive was a far off exotic technological marvel that I wouldn't be able to touch with a barge pole, you know. So when it's loaded up, I thought it was I thought it was a conversion of an Amiga Drive version. The Amiga version being so poor as it was, I thought this was the a Mega Drive conversion. Oh, I mean, I suppose standing still, it doesn't look that far off the Mega Drive version. But moving, no, it's not really, no. So what we do have is a more accurate portrayal of Afterburner, or at least in style. I was quite excited to play this when I received it. It didn't occur to me that there would be two versions of Afterburner on the same system. So, in retrospect, it's not fantastic. It's a bit slow. It's a bit jerky. I don't seem to be able to roll. Also, I haven't fiddled the keyboard to see if we've got any speed ups or anything. No, spacebar just throws the missiles out. Oh, that's a bit weird. At the end of the stage, you fly off the screen. Let's see what happens when we come back again. Loading the stage now. Let's see if we can find what keys do. See if we can find the Afterburner key itself. Or we can just crash. You know, either way. Shift. It's not shift. It's not space. Is it return? Is it alt? Is it A for Afterburner or S for speed? No. No, oh, I can't find it. So a bit of a surprise here. Second version of Afterburner for the Amiga. Worth a quick bash, I'd say. In today's age, not really worth playing. Right, staying in the skies, we have G-LOC. Oh, nice little bit of arcade style intro. A little bit rough looking, but no, that's like a bit like the presentation of the arcade game. Let's see how this fares. Now, this was not really a follow-up to Afterburner. It was a Sega arcade game released a few years after Afterburner. Similar sort of style. Difference being that you don't have lives, you have a time limit, an amount of enemies to shoot down per mission. Arcade game has some pretty fancy vector graphics, bit of 3D rendering. What the fuck was with those eyes? Oh, that's a bit strange. Let's see how the Amiga version fares. G-LOC was converted to many systems. Ultimately, there's a game called Afterburner 3, which I've already covered on the channel, which was sort of a version of G-LOC. But watch a video on that for more on that. So let's get cracking. Oh god, what is that? Okay, so you take off from a landing strip first off rather than an aircraft carrier like you do. in the arcade game. Okay, so what? Something on my. Now the arcade game eases you in with a couple of easy to hit planes first, and this has gone all out mental. Unless I've stolen, I've definitely on mission 1. I'm definitely on beginner setting because it's giving me the automatic speed. But what is going on here? What? I even had a foreign missile. And there's something else on my tail again. That's ridiculous. It really isn't giving me any chance. I've run out of time already. Okay, we're going to have another bash of this. Oh, I see. I had no missiles because I was... I mean, look at what those... It's weird, the planes have like a... Those enemy planes have like vector graphics wings, but the fuselage sections that looks like a polygon. I mean, look at that. What? It's awful. And it's weird you fire the Vulcan cannon and the missiles at the same time, which is why I ran out of missiles so quickly. Oh, what is with that colour scheme? So because the Vulcan cannon and the missiles are on the same button, you can't like do the down and dirty going straight to guns on something that's really close in fear of losing all your missiles, and you can't bank over like you can in the arcade game. Look, I'm pushing across, I just can't get across to match up with those targets. And look at that, it's a mess. I can't get over that thing with the planes having gaining sprites as the fuselage and a vector graphic wing. It's bizarre. No, this isn't very good at all, is it? It really is. Oh God! Is that supposed to be a canyon? This is dreadful. Oh dear. Whoa! What the hell? Well, so next up, Galaxy Force. So another Activision conversion. Let's see how this fares against. Let's see how this fares up against Afterburner, also by Activision. So, okay, presentation nice. Got the 5 planets to select from. Ooh, music's a bit odd. Let's first off. Whoa! So it looks a little bit like Galaxy Force. It looks more like Galaxy Force and Afterburner did. Again, you've got a massive part of the screen that's not being used, taken up by that status bar there. It does run very fast, even if the control of the ship's a bit laggy. Now, because I'm playing, my Amiga's actually behind me, we're plugged into my HD capture card, so I can't really reach back and hit the keyboard to do the speed from here. But here we seem to be doing okay, considering we've just lagged our way through the first level. We're moving on to stage 2 now. It's the fire stage. Same music. So one thing after Galaxy Force had was excellent arcade game soundtrack. Combined vinyl these days. So just have the same track for each level is a bit crappy if you ask me. One thing I'll say appears to be easier than the arcade game. The only real danger coming from not being able to go around corners because the keyboard's behind me on the from my Amiga, so extra energy. Everything's in the right place, I'll give it that. It looks a bit like Galaxy Force. I mean, the Amiga was never going to do the sprite scaling that the arcade game had, but this is nowhere near as unplayable as I think Afterburner, or at least the first version of Afterburner, the G-LOC was. I'm going to die any second. Well, I might see the third stage after all. Oh, is that different music? Yeah, it is. That's interesting that we've got stage 2 is different music and stage 2 didn't. That's nice. I think given the time, if you know, being a Galaxy Force fan, and given this as the way of playing Galaxy Force at the time, I probably would have been fairly happy with this. It's not brilliant, it's not an absolute disaster. I really thought it was going to be much worse than this. Yeah, not too shabby. I mean, that said, the Amiga wouldn't be able to do everything that the arcade game does. I mean, hell, we didn't get a good version, a really quality version of Galaxy Force until the Sega Saturn version in what, 98, 97 on the Sega Ages label. So. Don't think we're going to make it out of this particular tunnel. Oh, collision section was a bit off there. Pleasantly surprised there. Nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. Nice relaxing game of Outrun.
For you, the
What?
From Sega.
What in all the name of good and holy? What the fuck was that? I was just gonna say if I was chilled game of that one, and then what the fuck was that? So yes, after that we've loaded Outrun. Oh, but this version of Outrun seems to think it's deluxe paint. I mean, look at this GUI. I mean, look, sort of joystick control, and then some cars, many cars, some cars. Select the music using a drop-down menu. What the hell? Okay, well, let's get this started. Oh God, it's been in a sandwich toaster. Somebody's flattened the Ferrari. Oh, Christ almighty. Okay, so the Amiga version was pretty late to the Outrun party, all things said and done. You would have thought it would have turned out a bit better than this. I mean, I suppose that road scaling is not too bad, but why is it so squished? I mean, think of the Lotus games on the Amiga, especially Lotus 2. Well, so far the track layout isn't too dissimilar. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Worst crash scene ever. Oh, is that the fork in the road? Or shrubbery in the road? Oh, stop to load. Okay, the tracks are in a different order here, because this really should be the canyon stage. But I can't identify which stage this is yet. It's just the one with the rock archways. This is pretty poor, all things said and done. It's very jerky, frame rate's really low. Oh. Things us Amiga owners had to endure. The car just tripped over a pebble. Yeah, that's rubbish. Right, moving on from Outrun, we've got Turbo Outrun. So let's see how this one does. Well, last bit of arcade game presentation there. There we go. Looks better than Outrun. A little jerky. As I've said before in other videos, the Commodore 64 racing game videos, Turbo Outrun isn't as good a game as Outrun in the beginning. But this is better than the Amiga version of Outrun. Little jerky. We're not obscenely bad so far. Police car sounds like a really annoying yapping dog. It's not a bad conversion, it's not fantastic. It's a little disappointing when you consider how good comparatively the Commodore 64 version was. And the stages are really short. We've got this loading time. Now I'm skipping out the loading times while I'm editing this, but this one I'm going to leave running just to see how fast, how slow should I say, it loads. Yeah, real-time loading here. Gonna make a cup of tea. Go and learn the piano. There we go, there we go. That was a loading between stages. That's pretty horrendous. Here we are in the snow stage. Oh, blimey. And presentation wise it's nice. Graphically it looks fairly similar to the arcade game. I'd put this there with Galaxy Force as something which is like a version of the game. It's recognisable, not massively playable, but you know, it's not by all stretch of imagination a disaster like some of the games we've played so far. Yeah, so maybe worth a quick bash, a little bit of your time. Join me in part 2 where we'll be looking at some more superscalar games converted to the Amiga. Here, subscribe or naff off!
US Gold present from Sega.